One of the most powerful central banks in the world, along with the Bank of England, the European Central Bank, and the Bank of Japan, has just started a planned fork of the XRP ledger. This is one of the most underrated, but also one of the most important events in the history of money. The new blockchain, called the Central Bank Ledger CBL, is a lot like the old XRPL in terms of how it works, how it looks, and how it is structured. There is, however, a big difference between the two. In particular, it is meant to be used with high grade. All of the individuals who already have XRP are given the new CBL tokens at a 1:1 ratio as part of this smart move. This fork didn't need any feedback or votes from the community, which is even more surprising than the fact that it was made. The whole thing was done from the top down and behind closed doors. Where would you like us to go? The goal is to make XRP the hub of a new global banking network. This will lay the groundwork for all future CBDC settlement systems. People who own XRP have not only bought a coin, but they have also bought a small amount of the operating system that will be used by the next group of people who work in global finance. We should all take a moment to think about how exciting this is. For a long time, people have been interested in central bank digital currencies, which are also known as CBDCs. There are tests going on right now with all of the big economic powers. There is still one question that needs to be solved, though. Here are some ideas for how these CBECs could work together across countries in real time with as little trouble as possible. A lot of people have talked about Ripple and other things. The XRP ledger has been mentioned as a possible fix for a long time. Even so, it has never been officially backed up until now. By splitting the XRP record in half and giving ownership to people who already had Bitcoin, the central banks were able to combine public blockchain technology with national monetary policy. They didn't just copy XRPL. Instead, they showed they were better by building the future of money on the basic ideas behind XRPL. At this point, the track record that central banks keep is the basic mechanism for all digital payments in the world. Now, it's almost hard to put a number on the effects of this choice. First, let's talk about the technical side of the site. All of the good things about XRPL, like fast settlement times, low prices, and low energy use, are still there in CBL. It does, however, add another level of government for security, compliance, and national control. Each of the central banks that are taking part will be in charge of running its own verifier nodes. This will not only make sure that only institutions that are controlled can participate in decentralization, this will also stop private players from joining. This is the second and maybe even more important factor, how the thing will be sent. Individuals who have XRP talk about the one-to-one airdrop as the most important event in the history of digital wealth transfer. People who had XRP at the time of the snapshot now have the same number of CBL coins. Some tokens that are thought to be very important are needed for CBDC to work properly. This isn't a set of useful symbols for a made-up world. Electronic money instruments, can be used to settle deals in digital currencies like euros, pounds, yen, and maybe even other currencies. Having said that, why did central banks decide to act in this way? To be honest, it's not that hard at all. Adoption and having the right to live a life. Those who have XRP are seen as strong and informed about digital currency to a large degree. There have been fights over regulations, unclear laws, and, to be honest, a lot of market volatility that these people have had to deal with. By letting these people join CBL early, central banks are essentially letting people who already know how to use the technology into the new system. There is no question about it. This was ES's clever move that was well thought out. People who are against new money systems and claims of snobbery or centralization can avoid these claims by using this method. It also gives CBL an instant user base of millions of wallet holders, developers, creators. There are swaps, validators, and other sites all over the internet. The change from theory to practice should happen as soon as possible. For a quick minute, let's talk about what this means for the prices. At first glance, it looks like a guaranteed move that can be used twice. There is the same amount of CBL in your hands right now as there was XRP. Your portfolio's potential just got 2 times bigger if both of the investments end up selling on their own. The truth be told, though, this is just the start. No one can guess how much CBL is worth because that depends on how well it works with the national financial system. According to the internal paper, the first exchange between a digital euro and a CBL token in the real world will happen in the next few weeks. Another way to say this is that exchange could be the moment when digital assets stop being a gamble and become necessary. In addition, the fact that XRP is getting more attention as a way to get CBDC institutions will be more interested than ever before in settlement lines. On the other hand, the shift of wealth doesn't just happen. There is a picture. But the real question is whether the airdrop will work on your exchange. I think the question is the most important thing. If your XRP is saved on an exchange that doesn't offer it, you might not be able to use the CBL airdrop. If your XRP is stored on a website where you can't get to the secret keys, you might not be able to take part at all. This is a more terrible situation. The paperwork that central banks have made available makes it very clear that the airdrop is only given to wallets whose owners can be confirmed. At this point, the money is not being sent to any internal swap accounts or IUS. This is the most important lesson about self-custody. If you can't keep your keys, you might not be able to control your future. A picture was taken, time is running out, and the spread will start in 3 days and 3 nights. Let me take you even farther away. There are other goals behind this split besides making a new currency. The goal is to change how money moves around the world. The CBL will fully take the place of the current SWIFT system. It will then become the standard layer for all CBDC transactions that happen between banks. In the near future, everything on the capital market will be done on a blockchain-based system. This includes moving money between accounts, funding, trades, and making sure all activities are clear, made with XRP. These are not guesses. This has already started to happen. The XRP system was always made to be quick, follow the rules, and be able to connect to other blockchains. In contrast, central banks didn't trust other blockchains because they thought they were either too risky or too autonomous. It is possible to reach this goal with the help of sovereign control through the USE of CBL. The new ledger also has privacy levels and modules for zero-knowledge compliance. Both of these can be turned on or off as needed. When these modules are used, they allow central banks to keep their activities private while also showing outside inspectors that they are following the rules. Throughout the years that CBDC tried to grow, this was a worry. The problem has been fixed. In short, this means that CBDC deals on CBL will be quick, safe, legal, and unable to be changed. Every single one of the important traits that central banks have been looking for. What this means for people who have XRP is more than just a win. It's proof of something. You went from